Port Jervis, and welcome to the Port Connects Alumni Podcast. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the podcast, and we are together today connected with a class of 2017 graduate, Sydeny Sauschuck, now Mininno. She was Sydeny Sauschuck here, but she's Sydeny Sauschuck Mininno. Sydeny, good afternoon.
Hi, Mr. Murata.
You could call me Andrew now. I know that's probably weird to call you Principal Andrew, but you call me whenever you feel comfortable. It's good to see you.
You too. It's going to be Mr. Murata forever, so get used to it.
I got people in their 60s that say Mr. Murata. They say, once you're a principal, you're always Mr. Murata. So thank you for that, Sydeny. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Sauschuck family, Miss Fedoric. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties on my end. Sydeny was very patient, and here we are. So happy Friday to everyone. Just a couple quick announcements. You did see our fall sports are open there, so that is there, as well as there's a bunch of job postings. Maybe you'll come back one day, Sydeny. I'll recruit you right here live on the show. But there's a bunch of job postings on our website, different teacher positions, aide, monitor, etc. So we wanted to give a shout out there. But Sydeny, welcome back, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah. You're done for the week. You're done working, or you were able to work this in your schedule and you have to go back to work?
No, I'm done working today. Drexel has a summer policy where every Friday we get a half day, so it worked out perfectly.
Well, that is a good thing, and I know it's a beautiful weather down there. Sydney's outside Philadelphia there, so they get similar weather to us. So thank you for giving us some time on a Friday afternoon. Lots to talk about, Sydeny. So let's dial it back in the teens, 20 in the teens. You were a high school student. I was blessed to be your principal. Talk to me about some of the memories you have over your high school career. What were some things that stand out to you at your time at Port?
Well, I packed a lot into 4 years at Port, but I would say definitely the friendships that I made and had even since childhood. So obviously, like, those carried through my high school years. We're still friends now. They were bridesmaids in my wedding. So definitely my really good childhood friends. Obviously the wrestling team. So I was a manager for the high school wrestling team. So that included JV and varsity since I was in 9th grade. So that was probably one of the biggest parts of my time at Port. So kind of just traveling with the team, duels throughout the week, tournaments on the weekend. I was also on the tennis team. I was first singles for a couple of years.
Whoa.
So I was coached by, I wasn't great.
First singles is legit.
Yeah, maybe someplace else. But I was really fortunate to have been coached by the late Ms. Loya McCarthy. So I wanted to play volleyball, but she saw me down at Church Street when I was in middle school, and she wanted me to come out for tennis. My mom and dad always leisurely played tennis, so we always did clinics like growing up. So I kind of already knew how to play. And then I just, got a wonderful opportunity to spend a couple of years with her before she passed away my junior year of high school. So I'd say tennis, wrestling, socializing, all those things. I made a lot of really great relationships with some of my teachers, some of whom I still speak to today. A lot of who were in attendance at my wedding. Madame Fedoric, she read at the church for me. Miss Cassera.
In English or in French?
Oh, in English.
Okay.
In English. She could do it in French, I'm sure. But Miss Cassera I stay in touch with, and Mr. Sosnick, who we'll get to later. But yeah, I had a really great four years at Port. My parents graduated from Port Jervis, my grandparents. So, Sauschuck line runs deep at Port Jervis High School. So yeah, I was really grateful to have those 4 years.
Yeah, a lot of activities. All the academics you mentioned as well, too. All of the wonderful academics mixed in all the social things going on.
Oh yeah, I was.
There was school. There was school in between all of that.
Yeah, I guess like I should talk about that, right? I was I was I I was a good student. I struggled with math a lot, which is why I spent a lot of time with Mr. Sosnick and most of all of my math teachers because I needed help.
Yeah.
Um, but I did pass my Regents exam, so that was very important. Yeah, but
Did you like school? Did you like? I mean, obviously you liked all the other stuff, but did you
yeah.
like the academics? Did you like going to class? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, the teachers were great. My classmates were great. Um, a lot of my teachers were like very inspiring. They were super personable, which made learning more fun. For the longest time, I wanted to be a foreign language teacher, thanks to Madame Fedoric and Madame Trivolino, who has since retired from Port Jervis. But that led me to go to university, and I ended up picking up 3 other languages. So
At Iowa?
yeah, so yeah, I stuck with the foreign language, and then obviously for my major, I took a lot of classes. But I would definitely say I was well equipped for university leaving Port Jervis.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. What did you learn at Iowa in terms of the language? And they call it world languages now, Sydney? Not foreign
Yeah,
language, world
yeah. So I continued with French, and then I took on Italian, Russian, and then I took Spanish at Port as well, but I kind of just kept up with that on my own. But at university, it was French, Italian, and Russian.
Wow. I did not know that, Sydney. That's impressive.
Yes.
Family and friends, if you are watching live, please jump in and say hello. Any class alumni watching, please jump in and say hello as well. Sydney, you mentioned Luann McCarthy. Tragically and sadly, we lost her. I'd forgotten that was during your junior year. She passed away while you were there.
Yeah, like early to mid-September of my junior year. Yeah, she basically the whole time that I was on the tennis team, she was battling breast cancer, and then we lost her. I want to say it was September 13th, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, it was really hard. It was super hard. She was, one of a kind. I know she cared for me, but we had some funny times. My actual Common App essay I wrote about her, about one of my matches specifically, but then how she was an inspiration. And every year, like on her passing anniversary, I always share the same story. When I was a freshman, we were playing against O'Neill, but we would use the West Point tennis courts. And they took us into, I think the West Point dining hall was called like the canteen or something like that. And naturally it was filled with cadets. And she basically wanted to yank me out by my hood. And I was like, no, we can't leave. And she was like, you need to get out of here. And then that same day, I had her laughing so hard, she literally was crying.
And you played singles as a freshman? Number one singles as a freshman?
No. So freshman year, I played doubles with Lexi Warden. She was my doubles partner, and we had a lot of fun. And then sophomore year and junior year, I was first singles. And then my senior year over the summer, I got hurt and I actually couldn't play my senior year, but I still served as a captain, and I went to all of our matches and things like that. But
awesome. Yeah. Sydney, the wrestling obviously is a major part of your life. You kind of grew the manager position. You really made it something there. Was it your brother that drew you to wrestling, your brother Corson, or or how did you get involved doing that? And why did you get involved doing that?
Well, no, Carson actually always wanted to play basketball. It was my older cousin Brett who was a wrestler. So my dad has one sibling, my uncle Jimmy. He wrestled in high school. My dad played football and baseball. So my uncle Jimmy wrestled, and then once he had kids, he helped run the Tri-State Youth Wrestling Club. Brett was involved with that since he was little, and then he stuck with it all through high school. So Brett is 4 or 5 years older than me, so I, was little watching him through modified JV varsity. So it was my cousin Brett who really got me around it. We, as a family, went to a lot of his matches and things like that. And when I got to middle school, I was in 8th grade. Carson was in 7th grade. He was so set on playing basketball because at Port, basketball and wrestling are at the same time. And we were really sad because we were like, okay, well, if Brett's done wrestling, so there's not going to be another wrestler. There wasn't another boy in the family. But he came home one day from school and said, I signed up for wrestling. So we were very glad, obviously.
Just out of the blue.
Yeah, he just I guess all the whisperings in his ear, he finally, decided that it was the right choice to.
They call that recruiting, Sydney. They call that.
Yes. Yeah.
Recruiting. Yeah. Got to shout out to your aunt Denise. I work closely with Denise. Always her and her husband at Brett's matches, and even afterwards when Brett wasn't there, they're still there.
They're still definitely active supporters of the program, and but yeah, Carson was always a grade behind me, so I basically went all through high school with him wrestling. So yeah, I was a manager, so was Aaron Fahey with me our freshman year, and then Amanda Sexton Nig, was my partner in crime with that all 4 years. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You're a fan of wrestling, you're into the wrestling, but who actually said, hey, we want you to be the manager, we want you to be the sister of the team, the mom of the team, because you took on a lot of roles there.
No one.
Coach Foley, how did you get there?
I wasn't asked. I asked. I remember 9th grade, at the beginning of the school year, I went down to, Mr. Hartman's classroom in the elementary school, and I was like, hey, I had him in 5th grade, so he knew who I was, but I was like, there's not. They used to be called the mat maids. So it's there's not a mat maid program, but I want to do something. And he was like, okay, sure. You can. Okay.
You're hired.
Yeah. So then that was pretty much it. So it was just a lot of scorekeeping and videoing, which then ultimately led me to want to do that in college. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your love of wrestling grow more as you did it and Port was successful over the time, or you loved it and you ran with it? Did it grow over the time?
I would say, yeah, because it's just one of those things that I have a lot of respect for. I mean, most sports are, super respectable and have their own attributes and things like that make them really good for, youth development and things like that. But wrestling, I just saw as something really special. I've seen it work in kids' lives. I've seen it work in adult lives as parents who are new to the sport. It's just one of those things that it instills a lot of different qualities in a person, even as a spectator. So for me, it was just you kind of feed off of that energy of discipline and grit and responsibility, accountability, all those things that because it's just you out there, you have no one else to blame but yourself. So either you're winning the match or you're counting the ceiling tiles. So
is that what they say? Is that a wrestling term?
I guess. Well, if you're on your back, there's not much else to do than to look above you. So
I love it. Our Port Tourist wrestling program. A shout out to all of our coaches and the wrestlers, the young men and now women that have gone through the program. Historic program. The Banach brothers, Olympic champions, and Just so much rich tradition with our wrestling program. So when did that enter your mind, Sydeny, of, man, I'd like to take this to the next level and stay involved with wrestling? Was it you wanted to go to University of Iowa and be the manager, or you wanted to go be the manager at University of Iowa and, you know what, I'll go to the school too?
Yeah, so I knew I didn't want to play like tennis in college or anything like that. So I, of course, was like Division I wrestling programs. Like if I wanted to do that, I wanted to go do it at the best place to, be a part of that environment. So, and obviously we have very rich Iowa wrestling history within Port Jervis because of the three Banach brothers. Obviously, Ed and Lou and their career at Iowa, and then Steve joining them. But I was like, what the heck is Iowa? Where is Iowa? And one August, my parents were like, you keep talking about this place, so we're just going to get in the car and go. So it was early August. I think before my junior year, they drove me and my brother out there. And I was like, oh, this is actually like a beautiful place. So I was, that was easily became my top choice. Obviously, I had other schools and applied to other schools. I was actually between the University of Iowa and Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut. But when I reached out to, I knew I was going to apply to the school, but ultimately I needed a way to get in with the wrestling team. So I just drafted an email to the head coaches, who are twin brothers, and just explained like the connection from my hometown to Iowa City, the Banach brothers. I know they put in a really good word for me, thanks to Dr. Bell. So it kind of just worked out. They emailed me back and basically were like, you can come and do whatever you want. And then when I actually visited them, they basically like laid out the red carpet for me, just like, like, here it is. Like, if this is what you want to do, like, you're welcome to join us. They always have had like a manager program. But obviously I just wanted to get in on it too. So I left Port August of 2017 and then lived in Iowa for the 4 years. COVID hit, obviously, so that looked a little different toward the end, closer to graduation. But yeah, it was another crazy 4 years of just like more experience. Like, now I'm traveling to different states. We're going to different different universities, the national tournament, Big Ten tournament. Like, that was the real deal. Like, doing their laundry, driving them around in big Chevy Suburbans that the university trusted us to drive. Like, crazy stuff, but it was really fun. Definitely I made, a lot of friends through that as well. And yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah. Sydeny, it's fascinating that you're involved with two excellent programs and that you desire to be among the best. You're an adult now, you're married, you got a real job, you're a real person out there doing good things. Give me some of the lessons, right? Port Jervis and Iowa. Iowa's the best of the best. You mentioned Iowa wrestling, they're number one. What are some of those lessons that you've learned?
I appreciate that you say Iowa is number one, because they are always number one regardless of what the actual
outcome
rankings say, because there's another school that always, number one. But no, Iowa is number one. I would say some of the lessons I learned, everyone loves quotes. So I one of the head coaches quote that is like everywhere is, you get what you earn, which I really took to heart when I got out to school. It's true, right? Like, what you give is what you get. So, if you're not putting in 110%, then you're likely not to get a tremendous outcome. So, and obviously that can be applied to more than a wrestling match. That's just anything in life. You got to give your best, and you might not always get what you want in return, but then you get the next best thing, which is another one of their their quotes. And then when I worked with the national governing body for Team USA, so USA Wrestling, my my boss actually won the Olympics the same year as the Banachs, except he was the first, don't let me get this wrong, he was the first Olympic gold medalist in Greco-Roman from the United States in 1984. So, and he actually wrote a book just like the Banachs. Theirs is Uncommon Bonds, I think, and then Fraser's, I honestly can't remember, but one of my favorite quotes was something about those who go for the gusto in life, like, never have regrets later in life, something like that. So I just loved, like, the gusto. Like, that was just fun for me. Like, you know, if you don't have big dreams and chase them, like, what, you know, for me, like, I wanted my quality of life to be, you know, like, I can try, it might not work out, but, you know, I had big dreams, so I went for them. So
yeah. And kudos to your parents for jumping in the car and take you out there. That's a long drive, Route 80, I'm sure. Your mom's an employee here, working here, and your parents were always at the games. So yeah, you were there, and you did well. Did you want to continue in college sports? I mean, we're going to get to Drexel here shortly, but what did you want to continue? What made you not continue down the path of wrestling?
Like to play to
be involved, to work in athletic department, to be USA Wrestling, something. I'm sure you, with the connections you made and the relationships and the person you are, could have connected and stayed connected to the game at the college level.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. The part that was unfortunate was because I graduated during the height of COVID. So 2020 was my junior year, which is when the world pretty much stopped working. And then 2021 I graduated, and we were still, you know, going through all of that. The world of sports and athletics was kind of put on pause. Like my junior year of college, we would have absolutely won the national title for the NCAA tournament, but they just canceled it on us. So when I graduated and wanted to apply for athletic positions, they just were not really happening. So I was like, wait a second, like, I have fundraising experience, because that's what I did for the wrestling programs that I worked for. I was in their development offices. So I was like, I have all of this fundraising experience. So technically I could still go be in higher education. It would just be in a different capacity. So, you know, of course I still wanted to be within athletics, but I also needed a job with an income. So that's when I kind of started browsing, you know, positions in advancement that could still put me in that collegiate environment, but I was, you know, still contributing. So like the work that I do now, you know, I'm not directly with athletics, but the fundraising that I do does help our athletic department. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Currently at Drexel University, you got a fancy title here, Assistant Director of Annual Giving at Drexel. Yeah, well, I don't want to just leave Iowa just yet. So, and COVID, yeah, that was hard that happened during your time. I mean, that was hard for everyone, but really it kind of changed the course of your career.
Yeah, I pretty much, you know, I had an apartment with my two best friends, so we kind of just made the most of it. And, you know, wrestling pretty much was shut down. Everything just turned so different in Iowa. You know, like one day we were out in at Rutgers in New Jersey on a bus, and then next thing we know, for Big Tens, and then we're driving home and they're like, everything's closed in Iowa, like blah blah blah. So that was a really weird year to be in school. So I ended up pretty much moving back home and finishing school virtually. And then when it came time for graduation, they invited us back to go into the, I want to say it was Kinnick Stadium, so our football stadium, but it wasn't going to be like a traditional graduation. Like I would have driven the 970 miles it took from Port Jervis to Iowa City for them to call my name and me stand up in a random seat. So I was like, yeah, we're not doing that. So my parents had like an outdoor graduation party for me, and we just watched my name go by on the TV screen, which was, and my sister, my youngest sister Riley, she was a senior at Port in 2020. So we both, so she really didn't get a graduation. Well, Port did the best they could, but
yes, we did.
Yeah, it was just a strange time. But for me, I was just like, I just want that piece of paper so I can move on. Like it was a great 4 years, but I was ready for the next thing, So,
Sydney, outside the academics, right? You obviously did well, both athletically but talk to me about the skills that your family, the skills that the staff in Port Jervis, things that you learned being a student here and a child in this community, things that you took with you there that helped you be successful. What are some of those?
Yeah, I'll definitely touch on, my family first. So I'm the oldest of three. So there's me, my brother, and then my sister. So I took, being the oldest sibling very seriously. I wanted to be, a good role model for my younger siblings, just because the world is crazy, and I just wanted to set a really good example. And that was really easy for me to do because of who my parents are, and they they both are really hard workers, really good, genuine humans, and they're both graduates of Port Jervis High School. So we've even had some of the same teachers, but they really instilled a lot of admirable qualities in the three of us, integrity and discipline, accountability, things like that. To the point where like if I did something like even wrong, I would be the one to like tattle on myself. Like like they just things like that. They just made it really easy for us to grow up in a really safe and comfortable environment, and they were really encouraging and supportive of all of our aspirations. Obviously, like not many kids in New York wake up and say they want to go to college in Iowa, but my dad and mom, they drove me out there. My dad moved me in 3 years in a row, driving. When they drove me to Iowa, they literally turned around and drove back to Port straight through the night, basically. So they were obviously very instrumental in helping shape the trajectory of my life, basically. And I'm, very grateful for them. And another huge part with that is we're a very faith-based family. So we, a lot of our guidance comes from being faithful people, and just trusting that that God has a plan for us, and that we're just to follow suit and follow what he says is the way. So, but in terms of school, I would say I had again a lot of great teachers, a lot of people, like teachers who didn't just teach, they also helped you with being a good person. Like that was really important, like classroom rules, things like that, where it could easily feel like you're just going to class and then leaving, but it was more of like they actually wanted to invest in you as a student, as a human, the whole person, basically, versus just being like the math student, which is why I still have so many great relationships with my teachers, because they weren't just teaching me, they were also helping shape who I was going to become with their guidance and their wisdom. Like it's different from your parents, right? Like these are objective people that you go to school, they're different from your parents, but they still have also life experience and things like that. So just doing your best, being collaborative, things like that. another way that, Port helped shape the path that I've been on. I was on here 4 years ago, so to think it's been 4 years later, like a lot has obviously happened between now and then, or then and now.
Yeah, for sure. Mrs. McCarthy is watching here, so shout out to Mrs. McCarthy. I know you wanted to mention Mike Sosnick. One of the things, again, you're talking numbers, right? Math, but he taught you belief, that you made you believe that you could do it. Talk to me a little bit about your connection with Mr. Sosnick.
Yeah, so he was my 9th grade algebra teacher, and I was always good with like social studies, English, sometimes science, like, the core subjects I could always, get my way through. But math was just like, either you know it or you don't. So there's no like getting around that. Like if you can't figure out formulas and solve problems, like that's a you problem. So it was really hard for me to kind of grasp and retain what he was teaching, but it was more of like the lack of confidence that I had in myself that I was capable of doing the work. So I spent a lot of days after school with Mr. Sosnick, of him, really helping me drill in on like, just basic, as Miss Kazera always says, the basic arithmetic, and, translating that to just trusting, like just try to do it and see where you get, basically. So he was huge in helping me realize that it was also like up here. It was like a mind thing too for me. Like, yes, of course, math can be hard, but if you work at it and you practice, like it's easier. So he was instrumental in helping me, realize my potential for schoolwork. And yeah, he's awesome. I love him and his wife. They actually came to my wedding. They made the trip from Mr. Sosnick doesn't even teach at Port anymore, but yeah, I just
Warwick. Where is he? Wallkill? Where?
No, I want to say he's at Marlboro. I never know. Marlboro. Yeah, I think that's where he's at. But yeah, totally a good dude.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear, again, the teachers going to your wedding there. Let's talk about that. You got married. Mininno, your husband was a wrestler. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was this year, correct?
Yeah, June 14th, 2025. So just over a month ago.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yep, we got like the biggest circus tent they had out there, and we had it at my parents' house in the backyard. It was all I could have imagined and more. Yeah, my husband's name's Antonio. He is a graduate of Drexel 2 times over. He got his undergrad there and his master's degree as well. He was there 125 pounder for 4 years or 5 years. Yeah. But that was before I started working at Drexel. We met through a mutual friend and
through wrestling circles? Like, did I ever wrestle Drexel?
No, but it's complicated. But basically, we became friends, and then obviously as the years went on, it'll be 5 years in February, I think. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. He comes from a really great family. I absolutely love them. You can probably hear in the background, his grandparents just came over to visit. They're sitting down.
Antonio, you're on a podcast. I'm like, who's talking?
I know. South Jersey Italians,
Hey, Antonio, zip it over there.
I know.
Yeah.
Silencio Bruno. But yeah, he actually has a twin brother, so there's double trouble there. But yeah, it's just him and Dante, and then his parents, Lisa and Carmen, who I have a really great relationship with, and his grandparents who are here, and his aunt, who's probably watching, Angie. So it's really nice to have a good relationship with them because I live 3 hours from Port down here, and they're all like within a 12-mile radius. So I have their support living down here, which is really nice. But yeah, we're a month and a half in.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so you landed a job at Drexel. You're in the director of, or assistant director of annual giving. So you're in the fundraising there. Talk to me about that job and how you're growing, how you're doing in that position.
Yeah, so I started at Drexel in December of 2021. So I was hired as a program coordinator, but my main role focused on student and parent philanthropy. So I was helping get those programs back up and running, basically. Not that COVID was over then, but just once students started coming back to campus and things like that. And then there was some transitions, and now I'm the assistant director of the team. I have another assistant director, my friend Kristen, who also works with me. So we both kind of tackle different things, and then oftentimes the same thing. And then we have a director. So our team is a part of the larger alumni and constituent engagement team. So we not only solicit and fundraise from all of the Drexel community members. So you're talking alumni, friends of the university, students, parents of current students, parents of alums, faculty and staff, all kinds of things. We stand up, our annual giving day at Drexel, which is a really fun and exciting time to, see how much money we can raise in a single day for Drexel, all areas of campus, just to, kind of enhance student life. Trying to think, we have a ton of fundraising initiatives that we help stand up and support. But more than that is, the actual engagement of bringing Drexel alums back to campus or reconnecting them with campus, even if they're, or I don't want to say necessarily campus, but just the institution in general, just getting them to just take that next step of getting, feeling warm and fuzzy about Drexel again, basically. Especially as every year we have alumni weekends, so we celebrate those reunion classes. So it's really cool to see, just people from all over the country coming back to their, alma mater to see what's new and what's improved. But yeah, I really love working in institutional advancement. I really love our leadership. Everyone is just super wonderful. The camaraderie is great. But yeah, it's been a really great experience thus far. I really enjoy being at Drexel. And I'll be here for as long as they'll have me. So yeah.
If you haven't been to Drexel, it's in downtown Philly. You're in the city. Do you enjoy being in the city like that, Sydney, from small Port Jervis?
Heck no. So, right, so I left Port Jervis. I moved to Iowa, which is Iowa. And then I moved back to Port with my parents. And then when I moved to Philly, I was in University City, which is basically West Philly. And it was fun while it lasted, right? I got it out of my system. I lived, a 10-minute walk from my office. Antonio, was living there as well. We lived there, so 2021 to 2023. So we actually moved out of the city, and we are now over in South Jersey, just over the bridge in a little town called Deptford, which is where Antonio was pretty much. He wasn't born here. He was born in Camden, but born and raised in Deptford. So, we're in his territory. So it's easy to kind of be here, basically.
Come home, the Italians, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the city, but it's nice. I usually go in every Wednesday to the office. We're still very hybrid. So I'll go in oftentimes every Wednesday. And it's just nice to, put your work clothes on, put your makeup on, do your hair for once, and, drive into the city and just, kind of be around your colleagues. But yeah, I hope to, grow in my position here at Drexel, whatever that looks like. So, yeah.
I will be reaching out to you, Miss Sydeny. We are going to look to grow our Port alumni, and that's one of the things we're doing with this podcast. But certainly want to connect with you about some of the networking skills and strategies that you use, because we are going to start that. All the alum that are watching, we are going to kick that off here, the Port Connects Alumni Association, and have our current students be able to connect with our alums that are doing great things. Like yourself, and so I'll definitely rely on some help from you.
I am always happy to help fundraise for Port, so you let me know.
Cool. Sydeny, again, speaking of our alumni, the class of 2025 just graduated, right? I was taking down some of the congratulations graduate signs to them. What's your advice for those current juniors, those rising seniors, and the class of 2025? You successfully completed college. You're working in a job now 4 or 5 years. You're married. You're kind of on your way. What advice would you offer those kids to maybe do some of the things that you did so they could be on their way?
I think it's really important to identify or to have people in your corner. It doesn't have to be your parents. It doesn't have to be your grandparents. It could be anyone who is willing to listen and hear you out about your passions and how you can shape those into, different avenues, whether that's for career or volunteer opportunities, things like that. For me, like, I had such a unique experience with wrestling and things like that I almost had to create my own experience. So I think it's one of those things where obviously do your schoolwork, complete your classes, do well, strive to do well. But, in life, you are, regardless of your beliefs outside of that, you are responsible for your actions and the things that you do. And I think if you want to have, a decent life ahead of you, you have to do the right thing. The right thing is not always the easy thing, but just being mindful of actions have consequences and things like that. But in terms of something inspiring to share, I would really just say obviously seek advice, seek guidance from people you trust, but also don't be afraid to take those leaps of faith in trying new things, because if it doesn't work out, that's okay. You try something else. I think of my brother, for example, who is my favorite person in the world. I love my sister too, but Carson and I don't share clothes, so that's one of the things. But he's the hardest worker I know, and he has wanted to try different things. He loves being at Port Jervis, and he wanted to come try Iowa, and it just wasn't for him. He finished the semester, he went back home and went to Cortland and finished and got his undergraduate degree, and then he moved to Miami to pursue his doctorate of physical therapy from the Miller College of Medicine. I don't know what Miami's, but again, you realize I am a homebody, right? I will commute to get my master's program. So it's really you try the things, right? Try all the things, but ultimately, the worst that can happen is you figure out how to do it a different way. And another thing too, I know there's always a push for pursuing higher education in the sense of universities and colleges, but there's also so much more out there. I think of different trade schools and things like that. Some of Carson's closest friends have gone to trade schools and are doing well and have really specialized skills. I think it's really really it is like find what sets your soul on fire. Like, what is that? Like, you can make a career out of anything. Like, I just started the process of opening my own LLC because I love planning weddings. Like, I'm a fundraiser during my normal business hours, but I want to explore, design and decor and planning, you know what I mean? So it's just like there's so much out there, and you just have to be willing to, find the time to try. That was a really long-winded answer, but
it was a beautiful answer and really cool. And pursue that passion and go for that. Both Carson and Riley are on their way to being teachers, or Riley is teaching, correct?
Yes, Riley just finished her first full year of teaching up near Oneonta, where she went to university. She was a 4th grade teacher. She loved it. The students loved her. She's like a Western girl living in upstate New York, so she's all about that. Yeah, so I think she's moving grades though come September, and then Carson just completed his master's degree in physical education and has been, I know, instrumental in helping out with the wrestling program and things like that. So I am going to use this as my shameless plug that Port better be on their, when that application comes in, they better look at that and love it.
Like, who's this kid, Carson Sauschuck? He's in Coach Jaharski's office and Coach Foley's office every day. So he's right in there and he's in the right spot. But kudos to your family. Ms. Fedoric said it. Sydney and her siblings are amazing humans. And Mitch and Luana, your parents, are really great people. So it was wonderful to have you on, Sydney. So thank you for some time. Anything else you wanted to share before we let you go?
No, I would just say, we've had some experiences with, family and stuff like that over the last couple years where, you really learn that, tomorrow is not promised and things get crazy, but, you got to celebrate where you're at and, enjoy your family and your friends and, don't take a second for granted. I know that's not really like academic, but, whatever it is, whoever your people are, embrace them, love them, and just live your life to the fullest, which is so cliche, but it's so true. Like, I love my life. So I wish that for everyone.
I love how you comment on your own answers.
Yeah, I always do. Ask
any commentary on your own answers.
All the time.
You answer without answering it. What does Port Pride mean to you? You answered it. You just said it there. Your family, your relationships, and the whole time today, Sydney. And thank you for your patience through the tech hurdles here. But your whole the show really was about the relationships that you made and developed, as well as the willingness to go do it. You walked into Hartman's office as a 9th grader. You reached out to Iowa Wrestling and they said, hey, you make it sound easy, but the things you did were tremendous there. So congratulations on those great things, and your future is bright.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I super appreciate the reach out. It's always fun to reflect on, what I've done and what's left to be done. So
what's left? There's a ton to do. You got a ton of stuff there. Did you go on a honeymoon?
We actually went on a little mini moon. So we left our 2-year-old hound mix, Carmela, after Carmela Soprano. That tells you everything. And we drove up to the Cape. So we were in Cape Cod for a couple of days just to be literally anywhere else. But I think on our 1-year anniversary, we'll do something a little more special. It was a crazy time. It was an expensive time. So
yeah,
we'll but we spend every weekend at the beach down here, so I'm good with that.
Well, listening about your husband's family and all those paisans over there, a trip to Italy sounds nice next year. So throw that on the table. Yeah,
I got to get over my fear of flying right now, but sure, I'll let you know if I ever make
You don't have to fly the plane. All you got to do is sit down. You'll be fine.
I'll try.
Yeah. Well, this was great. Again, thanks for all the shout outs to our staff, Ms. Casara, Ms. Trivolino, Ms. Perez, Coach McCarthy, Luann McCarthy, beautiful people. And it's great for Port Jervis to hear these great things and to watch our alumni continue to rise. So enjoy your weekend. Congratulations again on your wedding. Shout out to your family. Sydney, how about a go Port before we let you go?
You sure you don't want to do 2 claps?
Come on, you give me one. 2 claps.
I did.
I love it in the community. People yell it from the car. Most people might yell a curse word, but here they yell 2 claps. So thank you for that.
That's funny. But thank you for doing this. This is really fun. It's nice to, even current students and alums. I know it's a unique experience to hear from a lot of different people. So your work matters too. So.
Well, thank you. We're going to continue to do it. And again, this fall, we're going to kick off this alumni association with the help of Sydeny Sauschuck Mininno from Drexel. But we want to connect our alum. We want to enhance what's happening here too, like you said about Drexel. So thanks for that, Sydney.
Yeah. Well, a lovely weekend. Thanks for having me, and we'll be in touch soon.
All right, you stay on the line a second before we go. Friends, we are going to sign off. It is a Port Pride Friday. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. Sydney, one more time. Go Port.
Go Port.
See you, friends.